Chairman. And I give the floor to the representative of Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Allow me to thank you for organizing this meeting. We are grateful to the briefers for their contribution to today's discussion. The Security Council meets each year to discuss measures to combat crimes of a sexual nature in armed conflict. We hear speakers sincerely condemning these crimes, and the shared stance on decisively combating this revolting phenomenon is reaffirmed. The Secretariat produces model legislative provisions and detailed plans. Experts are involved, and the forces and resources of the organization are brought to bear in international peacekeeping presences and special political missions. The problem exists, and the international community is aware of it. The need to combat this evil is something that absolutely all members of the Security Council agree upon. Why is it then that the UN Secretary General, in his reports from one year to the next, essentially describes an absence of progress in this area? Why are the targeted, well-structured and properly thought-through recommendations of his special representative butting up against realities on the ground? What, for example, is preventing belligerents guaranteeing the full and meaningful participation of women, girls, and survivors of sexual violence in decision-making processes, as the report proposes? The answer is all too often a simple one. It's the nature of war itself, one of hatred and animosity in society, often stoked from outside, a state in which law, justice, and viable governance institutions are absent, when might really does make right. We must do all we can to stop conflicts, eliminate their root causes, and rebuild a resilient society, because it's just such a resilient society that will be able to vanquish impunity and put a stop to violence, including sexual violence. Mr. President, we welcome the work of the Special Representative of the Secretary General, Ms. Pramila Patten. We highly appreciate her work on national capacity building, her work to develop dialogue with religious and other traditional leaders, and to address the stigmatization of survivors of sexual violence and for their rehabilitation. It's important that the humanitarian work of her office not be associated with any political preferences, and that it should not be seen as pandering to one party to a conflict or turning a blind eye to the crimes of another. We therefore urge the authors of the report to take a particularly meticulous approach to the list of parties that are credibly suspected of committing acts of sexual violence. All suspicions must by definition be credible, the facts must be verified, and the sources of information must be identified. Mr. President, despite the additional difficulties that the pandemic has brought with it, we have not lost hope that the measures we are taking, including today's debate, will help end violence against civilians, including sexual violence, for the good of international peace and security. Thank you for your attention.
I thank the representative of Russian Federation for his